Hello everyone, Alger the SideQuest Gamer here, and welcome to my third response type video, this time to YouTuber known as the Dreamcastguy. Now I personally think he's a really good YouTuber, and I'm glad he's starting to gain a massive following. He's like one of the most likable personalities in the gaming community. I love his Top 10 Thursday video series, but not every Top 10 list. This one, while not bad, brought up some points I have to question. I know with top 10 lists, they have to be at a normal 10 to 15 minute length, so you have to kind of summarize your points to keep viewer retention, but it's more about the points you bring up, and some of these points don't really make a lot of sense. For such a bold title like Top 10 Franchises That Need to Die, emphasis on reasoning is going to have to be elaborated on to support your conclusion as to why the franchises do indeed need to die. Now, I will be skipping many parts of the video since each numbered entry is self-contained, and to fall under fair use, I will also be black and whiting the footage to prevent any copyright problems, and it's also a stylistic choice for transitions. But let's begin, shall we?
Number 8. Sonic the Hedgehog. Where do I even begin with this one? Sonic managed to spin dash his way to massive fame in the 90s with his lightning-fast, side-scrolling platformers. I mean, sure they look simple now, and yet they still work so well. As time went on, Sega became obsessed with finding new directions to take this hero. Sonic has gone 3D, grown stupid stick legs, and his series has devolved into a jumbled pile of glitches. His newest entry, Sonic Boom, is one of the lowest rated games ever on the Wii U. Despite this abysmal reception, Sega went ahead and started working on direct sequels. This is like serving someone dinner and they hate it so much they vomit, but for some reason you decide to just go ahead and serve them dessert. They really need to give us a few years to forget all about Sonic Boom.
First off, Sonic grew stupid stick legs? Wait, didn't he always have stupid stick legs? On the covers of like the Genesis games, he had bendy stick legs. I mean, yeah, it's a new character design and all, but is that really worth commentating on as part of the premise for why Sonic indeed needs to die? Then you mention how the series has devolved into a pile of glitches, and show off the gameplay for Sonic 06 and Rise of Lyric. Yes, it's universal knowledge that those games are extremely glitchy to unplayable degrees, but are you also addressing Sonic Colors, Generations, Lost World, Unleashed, or even the handheld Sonic games past 2006 like Sonic Rush Adventure? Now, if you are addressing those games indirectly, you're making it sound like those games have game-breaking glitches akin to Sonic 06 and Rise of Lyric. If you're not addressing them, I do wish you would elaborate your thoughts on the games in between Rise of Lyric and 06. I'm not sure if you like them, and if you don't, that's fine, but it seems like you're saying the whole series past 2006, like Sonic Colors and Beyond, they're just as glitchy and broken as 06, and it'll never redeem itself. And then finally, these are top 10 franchises that need to die, as in cease to exist and to never come back.
They really need to give us a few years to forget all about Sonic Boom.
Unless you're applying some rule of Lazarus for these franchises where they can die and then come back, that partially defeats the meaning of this list, and this is a recurring flaw in this list for another one of these entries, but let's continue.
Number 7. Skylanders. I know what you're thinking. Skylanders seems a little bit out of place on this list, but let me explain exactly why it's important for this to be killed off. This is a franchise that has an evil habit of consuming other series. For those who haven't tried it, Skylanders is a game where you place action figures on a power pad that transports them into a level. In an effort to keep fans interested, they use their money to buy up the rights of better-known characters. Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, and a large cast of backup minor characters can now all join forces. This is actually my main problem with it. Because of this lame excuse of a Pokemon ripoff, we're missing out on decent sequels from these heroes. I mean, come on, we deserve a real next-gen version of Crash Bandicoot.
Okay, audience, when he says that Skylanders has a habit of consuming other series, he's referring to Spyro the Dragon and now Crash Bandicoot. And that is a common complaint I never understood. This is not just from Dreamcastguy, but from a lot of people on Skylanders videos everywhere. Activision owns the franchises and has redistributed the PS1 trilogies on PSN. They never promised another entry in those series, and if they want to use those characters as just Skylanders, that is their choice. I don't see how that's a problem with it, and knowing Crash and Spyro are like the only ones from other franchises out of 99% original characters, then they're pretty much guests in this universe, and other than the first entry having the subtitle Spyro's Adventure to generate sales, the Skylanders game's selling point are the Skylanders themselves now. You're not missing out on decent sequels because Activision never promised sequels to Crash and Spyro in the first place. I mean, I get where you're coming from, and I can see why people want sequels to Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, but you're making it sound like Activision canceled last-minute plans on making these supposed sequels in exchange for Skylanders. Just fault Activision for not listening to consumer demand, but don't fault Skylanders themselves. It's similar to Super Smash Bros. And the use of other franchises. Those games absorb dormant franchises into their own style, and the community never faulted Smash Bros. For preventing these sequels being made. They fault Nintendo for not making a new F-Zero game. They fault Nintendo for not localizing Mother 3 to North America. They fault Nintendo for not making a real, true-to-form Metroid game. But they don't fault Super Smash Bros. I also don't understand the point of how Skylanders is a Pokemon ripoff when it doesn't even play like the main series games. Closest thing Pokemon related it does play similarly to is the Mystery Dungeon games, but even that is a far-fetched statement. There's different creatures with different power types, sure, but you don't specify that. You introduce a premise there with no conclusion that's just going to leave some confused as to why you even said that in the first place. Now let's skip ahead a few entries.
Number 4. Star Fox. Nintendo has really been on a losing streak lately. As Wii U sales remain low and profits worldwide sinking, they attempted something drastic to win back support. They cranked out a new Star Fox. While initial news made this sound like a fantastic mix of the classic Nintendo 64 game and next-gen graphics, what landed this year was instead a clunky mess of horrible controls and short levels. Putting this on the list really hurts me. I grew up loving this fuzzy fighter pilot, but there's no denying that he's basically ruined. All we can do is put away the amiibos, play another round of Smash Bros, and hope they give this another shot.
Look, I'm not one of those obsessive fans that have to force everyone to say that the controls are actually good and they just have to get used to them. I don't care enough about a piece of interactive data to crusade over the war of subjective attrition that is the motion controls. If you like the motion controls, the controls are good. If you don't like them, then the controls are bad. That's perfectly fine. There are legitimate reasons why to dislike Star Fox Zero. But to say this franchise needs to die because the last entry didn't click with you... This list has mainly been filled with oversaturated franchises. Star Fox only had the Super Nintendo game, 64, Adventures, Assault, Command, and now Zero. That's like 6 games. Does it really need to die with just 6 games? Okay, say this franchise does need to die with 6 entries. Okay, let's just say that.
Putting this on the list really hurts me. I grew up loving this fuzzy fighter pilot, but there's no denying that he's basically ruined. All we can do is put away the amiibos, play another round of Smash Bros, and hope they give this another shot.
But then you finish it off with hoping Nintendo gives Star Fox another chance. Which is it, Dreamcastguy? I feel like this is the only entry on this list that could have been left off, because it seems like you don't want this franchise to die. Like Sonic, I don't know if you're using the rule of Lazarus for this entry or not. At least when mentioning Sonic, that series is pretty saturated, if not oversaturated. And that's all I really have to say about this video. Overall, it's not even that bad of a video, as you brought up some decent to good reasons with the other 7 entries on your list, but I do think the 3 entries you did list and the lackluster reasons you gave as to why those franchises are supposed to die It could have used more elaboration. That's all I'm really saying. I just felt that the reasons you gave for those particular entries were controversial enough for a response of this kind. But for good measure, audience, I recommend checking out these videos instead, as this top 10 list does not best represent Dreamcastguy. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and remember to stay awesome.